The greatest successes come from having the freedom to fail.
Mark Zuckerberg is one of the youngest self-made billionaires and founder and CEO of Facebook, a social networking site with over 2.4 billion accounts and is ranked among the top 10 most powerful people on the planet. How did a college dropout create a social network that could impact the everyday life of a common man to fuel the revolutions that could overthrow governments? You're watching Life Story Inc. And this is the biography of Mark Zuckerberg. Prologue. In the early years of 2000, Internet Explorer totally dominated the browser space, and Friendster is the only notable social networking site. The revolution in social media started happening with the introduction of MySpace, which turned out to be the biggest social networking site by the year 2005, but it was criticized to be full of ads and distracting. But none of these social networks was able to match the popularity of Facebook and afford to stay in business once Facebook came into the market. Childhood and early life. Zuckerberg was born on May 4, 1984 in White Plains, New York. His parents Karen (née Kempner), a psychiatrist, and Edward Zuckerberg, a dentist. He and three sisters, Randy, Donna, and Ariel, were brought up in Dobbs Ferry, New York. Zuckerberg was raised in a Reformed Jewish household, and his ancestors hailed from Germany, Austria, and Poland. Zuckerberg was a bright child. He began using computers and writing software in middle school. His father taught him Atari basic programming in the 1990s and later hired software developer David Newman to tutor him privately. When he was young, he created his first known program called ZuckNet, which his father, Edward Zuckerberg, used at his dental office to announce new patients. He went to the preparatory school, Phillips Exeter Academy in New Hampshire. In high school, he began programming music software called Synapse, which would become the app Pandora. After graduating from Phillips Exeter Academy in 2002, he went to Harvard and soon after began work on the website Facebook. Harvard College Years. Zuckerberg began classes at Harvard in 2002. He had already achieved a reputation as a programming prodigy. He studied psychology and computer science and belonged to Alpha Epsilon Pi and Kirkland House. In his sophomore year of college, he wrote a program that he called Course Match, which allowed users to make class selection decisions based on the choices of other students and also to help them form study groups. A short time later, he created a different program that he initially called Face Mash that let students select the best-looking person from a choice of photos. According to Ari Hassett, Zuckerberg's roommate at the time, he said Mark built the site for fun. They had books called Facebooks, which included names and pictures of everyone who lived in the student dorms. At first, Zuckerberg built a site and placed two pictures or pictures of two males and two females. Visitors to the site had to choose who was hotter, and according to the votes, there would be a ranking. The site went up over a weekend, but by Monday morning, the college shut it down because its popularity had overwhelmed one of Harvard's network switches and prevented students from accessing the internet. In addition, many students complained that their photos were being used without permission. Zuckerberg apologized publicly, and the student paper ran articles stating that his site was completely improper. In the aftermath, Zuckerberg faced serious charges of breach of security, violating copyrights, and violating individual privacy. Though he faced expulsion from Harvard for his actions, all charges against him were eventually dropped. Yeah, right, we all kind of know now Zuckerberg was really good at programming, but not good at data privacy and permissions and security. Well, this was the very first incident when he used other people's personal data for a site without proper authority. In the following semester, in January 2004, Zuckerberg began writing code for a new website. On February 4, 2004, Zuckerberg launched the Facebook, originally located at thefacebook.com. 6 days after the site launched, three Harvard seniors, Cameron Winklevoss, Tyler Winklevoss, and Divya Narendra, accused Zuckerberg of intentionally misleading them into believing he would help them build a social network called HarvardConnection.com, while he was instead using their ideas to build a Facebook. The three complained to the Harvard Crimson, and the newspaper began an investigation in response. Following the official launch of the Facebook social media platform, the three filed a lawsuit against Zuckerberg that resulted in a settlement. The agreed settlement was for 1.2 million Facebook shares. This real-life incident was the main plot of the very famous movie Social Networking, released in 2010. Zuckerberg dropped out of Harvard in his sophomore years in order to complete this project, the Facebook. Let me tell you, all of this was started just for fun. Till this point, there was no financial strategies or marketing involved in launching the first version of the Facebook. Facebook. Soon, Facebook went beyond the education sector, becoming more and more popular. To keep up with market requirements, Zuckerberg enlisted a few of his fellow students to help grow the website. This move of his was really important, as fellow students from Harvard are smart, creative, enthusiastic, and visionary like him, qualities which are very much required in any of the startup business. The first investment Mark received from one of the founders of PayPal, Peter Thiel, who is well known throughout the Silicon Valley. Peter Thiel allocated $500,000, and that amount was sufficient for direct Facebook purposes. The project began to evolve rapidly. In less than a year after it was founded, more than 1 million people joined the social network site. For further development of Facebook, they needed more investments. Axel Partners invested in Facebook $12.7 million, and then Greylock Partners added to this amount $27.5 million. By 2005, Facebook became accessible for all educational institutions and universities in the USA. Zuckerberg still believed that his project is a social network for students, but the interest of users in Facebook grew exponentially. Then it was decided to make registrations accessible to the public. After this, a Facebook epidemic started. The main thing that immediately attracted users to Facebook is that friends who met in real life could now communicate with each other online. It was something new and unique feature in web services. Facebook introduced the like button in 2009 and created a new currency for the internet. Facebook wasn't the first company to use something like this, but because of its scale, the blue thumbs up became ubiquitous, and this encouraged people to post more on Facebook. Facebook started the feature of photo tagging, which enabled users to tag friends and family in the photos they uploaded, and this was a huge hit. By early 2011, Facebook had become the largest online photo host. By this time, Facebook has become so popular around the world that a single page created by a common man gave rise to the Egyptian Revolution, which resulted in overthrowing the then Egyptian president Hosni Mubarak. Acquisition of Instagram, Oculus Rift, and WhatsApp. Mark Zuckerberg is a strategist, and he keeps acquiring companies that continue their operation as independent entities under Facebook's umbrella. Mergers and acquisitions can help organizations become more efficient, profitable, and powerful in the market. In April 2012, Zuckerberg acquired the mobile photo-sharing app Instagram for $1 billion in cash and stock. Initially, it was an iOS application developed by Mike Krieger and Kevin Systrom, which was a potential threat to Facebook and captured many young users who are fleeing Facebook. In March 2014, Facebook closed the acquisition of Oculus Rift for $2 billion. Oculus Rift is a virtual reality hardware engineered by Oculus VR company headed by Palmer Freeman Luckey. Facebook paid $400 million in cash plus 23.1 million Facebook shares, with a further $300 million in incentives if it hits certain milestones in the future. In October 2014, Mark Zuckerberg completed the purchase of WhatsApp for $22 billion. WhatsApp is an instant messaging application founded by Jan Koum and Brian Acton in 2009. Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal. Zuckerberg faced a lot of controversies in his short career. One of the recent and very sensitive ones is the Facebook Cambridge Analytica data scandal concerned the obtaining of the personal data of millions of Facebook users without their consent by British consulting firm Cambridge Analytica, predominantly to be used for the analytical assistance to the 2016 presidential campaign for Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. 15 years after Harvard slapped him on the wrist over face smash, Zuckerberg was called before a more powerful committee, the US Congress, to explain Facebook's last 2 years of scandals and the decade and a half of decisions that led to them. On March 21, 2018, Zuckerberg breaks his silence. He said, "We have a responsibility to protect your data, and if we can't, we don't deserve to serve you. I've been working to understand exactly what happened and how to make sure this doesn't happen again." The future. Reiterating his mission, Zuckerberg said, "Our real-world mission is to connect the whole world." To succeed to this, he started Internet.org to bring online services to the underserved areas. He is currently working on projects like Aquila, where a drone flying at 65,000 feet could beam the internet to millions of people down. He's also working on Telegraph technology, which is designed to supplement local cellular networks with millimeter wave technology, paving the way to send huge data wirelessly with very little latency, which is very much crucial for the technologies like VR. Virtual reality. Zuckerberg is keen on developing AI, artificial intelligence, powered bots that could automate many simple tasks. What can we learn? there are a lot of things to learn from his business ventures. Number 1. A specific vision. Zuckerberg had a clear sense of vision in his mind before starting off his venture. This is one of the most prominent reasons due to which Mark Zuckerberg overcome problems so easily and became successful. He was focused on what changes his business idea would bring to the world. Number 2. Building a strong team. Mark Zuckerberg holds a high belief in teamwork as a tool to get things done in any organization. Number 3. Embrace criticism. Always embrace criticism. Take feedbacks in a positive way and continuously try to improvise the product. Number 4. Never underestimate your competitors. Mark Zuckerberg and his team rolled out their venture by learning from their mistakes their competitors made. Number 5. Take control. Facebook has always been controlled single-handedly. Enabling Mark Zuckerberg to work towards the long-term vision of his company is changing the digital landscape of the world, instead of capitalizing on short-term financial rewards. What did you learn from Zuckerberg? Mention in the comments below. Share, like, and subscribe to Life Stories Inc. Watch the incredible life story of another Harvard College dropout, Bill Gates.